Hey everyone, Tyson the Subaru specialist here, and today I have the pleasure of going through the 2025 Subaru Forester Sport in the autumn green with you all. So Sport got a big change from the previous generation. It is a redesign year, but the Sport, instead of just being a color package, it actually got some other enhancements to it. So you get Stablix dampers on the Sport, so it is actually sportier tuned. You get the bronze wheels and the other bronze accents, but they're 19-inch wheels on this Sport. I think the bronze looks great with the autumn green. I like the design, and slightly larger rim, slightly less sidewall, it will corner better. As I'd mentioned, it's a redesign for the 2025 model year, updated exterior, interior, mechanical components, I should say, all updated, new front end on it, definitely a different grille, gloss metallic grille, definitely larger. It's a boxier, more square front end on the 25s versus the 24s. We've got new headlights. They're LED steering responsive, very, very bright. I had the chance to take one for a drive the other evening, and I was actually quite impressed with how they cast the light. Unfortunately, I wasn't really thinking, so I didn't take any photos or videos then. New fog lights, very, very aggressive styling on them, and they are, of course, very bright as well. As I'd mentioned, more bronze accents, and you'll notice a lot of this hexagonal design language in the Forester, even in the center there, you can see that. That is going to be a reoccurring theme in the Forester for the 25 model year. Still that traditional boxy SUV style crossover that we know and love. It is definitely a bit of a departure from the traditional Subaru design language, but still side by side with the previous gen Forester, still definitely a Forester. We've got the cladding that goes around the wheel well, per usual with Subaru. Functional vents they've added. We've got black painted mirror caps on the Sport with integrated turn signals and more of that hexagonal design language. And it is actual texture, it's not just something to look at, it actually is textured. More bronze accents, and I think the bronze goes well with the green as well. And then you have the low profile roof rails. So you can still get OEM crossbars, according to Subaru, for these low profile roof rails. Gives it a more sleek look. It's black metallic paint on each end, but they'll grip. You don't have to go aftermarket with Thule or Yakima, something like that. They've increased the size of the third window at the rear, which is quite nice. Increases visibility. It was already essentially zero blind spots on the previous gen Forester. This is even better. They've moved the symmetrical all-wheel drive badge to both sides, and it is bronze. It's color matched with the Sport. Fuel doors, rear passenger side. When you lock the driver door, this locks as well, which is nice. There's no separate release lever. Easy to use. There we go, just had to push it in far enough. New taillights, and then of course, more hexagonal design language, but I do like these rear taillights, and I like that they tie them together, kind of like the Crosstrek Onyx in the old Forester Sport. Black metallic paint across the back to the other taillight. I think it really ties it together. Body color spoiler, and we'll take a look at the rear here. Still very, very boxy. And you'll notice you have Forester debossed on the tailgate right underneath the Subaru logo. They've gone with blacked out badging on all of the Foresters on the rear. It says Subaru. We get the bronze and black Sport badge, which is really nice. Now, at the bottom, we get backup sensors integrated into the rear bumper, and they'll apply the brakes if you think you're going to hit something between speeds of 1 and 15 kilometers an hour in reverse. More hexagonal cutouts. You've got your exhaust tip on the Sport out at the back of one. It's actually out the back of all of them. I'm just looking at the Sport. Now, kick gate. So you can do it from the key fob, or you walk up, kicking motion, and then back up. It's important that it senses the key moving away, otherwise it won't open. Important to note. We have a lot of room in the rear of the Sport Forester, all the Foresters really. But privacy cover, this is adjustable here, because these second row seats are reclinable, but it just telescopes in there. This hides everything from the top of the seats down, keeps things out of sight, out of mind. Easy to remove this, and you can actually tuck this underneath our false floor here. So underneath this new cargo tray with the topographic map, just came in, haven't even put the carpet floor mats in yet. But underneath this, we've got a false floor. And you've got storage, and you can actually kind of see where you're supposed to put the privacy cover across there, which is nice. You can always have it with you when you need it and bring it out when you need it. Or tuck it away if you're transporting taller, larger objects. Rear right, we've got our grocery bag hooks. Left, same thing, but we also get a 12-volt power point. We've got nice hard mount physical tie downs, one in each corner. And we have these nice textured areas. We get some little Easter eggs, things like a telescope. You've got a lantern over here. We also get the Harman Kardon audio system. So upgraded audio system in the 25 Sport, which is nice. A significant improvement over the stock stereo. Up top, we have LED cargo light. You shut it off, it'll shut off on its own when you close the hatch. Now, to close it, I've got a bunch of options. I can do it from the key fob, the door, the driver's seat. I can pull down, I can press these buttons, I can close and lock it, or kick and back up. It beeps twice, and on the third one, it closes and lowers. So initially, I wasn't a huge fan of the kick gate, but being that I can close it hands-free, it's starting to work its way into my heart. That rear 3/4 view of it, I think it's a good looking SUV from all angles, but rear 3/4 I do really like. Second row, it's gonna have a ton of storage and passenger room, really. Tall roof line equals a lot of headroom. You've got great legroom. I actually find that the Forester has the most second row room out of all of our vehicles, even coming up against the Ascent. So more room than the 7 or 8 passenger, which is pretty cool. Another improvement over the previous gen Sport, we get the StarTech Soft Touch all-weather upholstery in the Sport. Soft touch, non-perforated, easy to clean, easy to wipe down. I actually find this material more comfortable than cloth or leather because the material itself actually seems to have more cushion. We've got bronze contrast stitching, which is really nice. We have easy access to the latch system to lower anchors and tethers for children, for car seats. There's a fold-down armrest with integrated cup holders. And if you need to fold the seats flat, it's simple. It just depends, obviously, how far the front seat is reclined, but these go virtually flat. Out of the center console, we've got vents and 2 USB ports. So the vents are out of the center console, in addition to vents underneath each front seat facing rearward. Heats up and cools down the second row very, very effectively. These are just for charging. They're not for audio input on the USBs. We've got 3 matte back pockets on each side. This is textured and designed to be used as a step if you're loading anything on crossbars on the roof. The reason being, 1, you're more centrally located. 2, you're not gonna get much of your foot on this because it sits inside the fender. And if I'm standing on it, I am right at the back of the rail system. I could end up leaning, putting myself in a precarious situation. That's part of the reason. Rear door card itself ties in. We've got bronze stitching. This is all soft touch. Armrest is soft touch, kind of a rubberized soft touch, which is quite nice. A little bit of storage there with a bottle holder. Easy to use child locks. And then they've redesigned the door cups. Very large door cups. Hopefully it's gonna lead to less scratching inside the door cup. There's a little bit more room. You're never gonna completely eliminate it, but it is very handy. Front door card looks very, very similar to that of the rear, other than obviously we've got our front power windows, which are both auto, regular power windows for the rear, window lock if you need it, power window adjustment. There's a little bit more storage with a bottle holder, and then of course they like to tell you many places that you've got the Harman Kardon audio system. It is a power driver seat with lumbar, and it's the same seating material up front, that StarTech Soft Touch all-weather upholstery, in the front as it is the second row. But these seats are definitely different. These are the same seats that you find in the Crosstrek, so they're designed for long distance driving. You're gonna be less fatigued. These bolsters hold you in corners very, very nicely. And we have a great panoramic sunroof. Now, speaking of holding in when you're cornering, very, very comfortable. With the Stabilix dampers, it's not a rougher ride. That is important to note. You're gonna have to drive a Sport and a non-Sport back to back to really tell the difference, but the Sport does corner slightly better. We've got the ability to open the rear hatch. We've got a scroll wheel for the brightness of the gauges, and we can turn off the kick sensor at the rear if for some reason we didn't want it. Easy to use vents, you can close them off. We've got contrast stitching. This is soft touch, which is nice. On the bottom left of the steering column, we have the ability to tilt and telescope your steering wheel. So depending how you like to sit, you can adjust it for drivers of varying heights, leg and arm lengths. Steering wheel, we've got bronze contrast stitching, bronze center accent. Left-hand side, we have our Bluetooth controls, our volume controls, so we can accept calls, decline or hang up, issue voice commands, really easy to use. These also allows you to use Google Assistant and Siri through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Source switches from AM to FM to satellite to USB, etc. We can switch between presets. The volume is left to right. This toggle used to be volume, but now the toggle changes our small little information display here. Gives us a different piece of information each time we toggle it. So it depends what you want to look at. Nothing exclusive about the gauges on the Sport, which I'm actually a little bit surprised about. I figured they'd do something unique for those, but they're just the standard gauges. Not a negative, just kind of figured it would fit with the theme. Right-hand side, we have our adaptive cruise and our lane centering. Both of those use these three black boxes up top here behind the rear view mirror to look for cyclists, road lines, pedestrians, and other vehicles. These are also responsible for automatic emergency braking, and this third new camera adds a wider field of view from left to right when looking for those objects I mentioned before. Now, actually, speaking of visibility, from the driver's seat, the visibility is great. There's, like I mentioned, virtually zero blind spots, improved visibility over the previous gen. Obviously, it's going to vary depending how tall you sit and your range of mobility, but the visibility is fantastic. Now, when I turn on the cruise control, I get an image of the Forester there, and there's 4 bars ahead of it, all the way down to 1. The bars are the follow distance behind the vehicle ahead of you that you will follow at if you catch up while using cruise. So if you set the cruise to 110 and those lines say 110, that's what you're set to. If you catch up to someone and they're going 100, you'll slow down to 100 and you'll follow them. 4 bars, 100 kilometers an hour, you're roughly 150 to 180 feet behind the vehicle ahead of you. So if you want to follow closer, this is the decreased follow distance. Each time you press it, the arrow goes down. If you want to increase it again, up to a maximum of 4, it's right there. Now, you'll notice that there's gray lines on either side of the Forester. When I turn on lane centering, above 60 kilometers an hour, if the road lines can be seen, they'll illuminate white, the same color as the distance cruise markers. When you have the little steering wheel image there, above 60 kilometers an hour, it'll help keep you in the middle of your lane by giving you gentle steering input. It'll help take you through corners. You're not going to wander in your lane as much. It is not hands-free. Do not take your hands off the wheel. It's going to get mad at you and turn off the lane centering if you do that for too long. So it's a great aid. You're way less fatigued at the end of the day of driving. It's fantastic. I recommend that you have someone give you a demonstration, show you how these work. It's great. I never thought that I would actually like this tech, but it's fantastic. We have 2 different drive modes in the Sport: Intelligent, which it defaults to, and Sport Sharp. So Intelligent, bottom left, it says P for park. See that there? Now it says S Sharp. So blue line is Intelligent, that pinky purple line is Sport Sharp. You can see that's a rather aggressive increase. You're going to sit at a higher RPM, you're going to go faster sooner, you're going to use a little bit more fuel. So you can do it on the fly, you don't have to be sitting still. Pull out to pass, you want that little bit of extra oomph, you can get it that way. Below that, heated steering wheel, all important here. Best thing ever, heated wheel, keeps your hands nice and toasty. We have paddles on the back of the steering wheel, down and up, so we can manually select our own gears if we want. So if you're going down a hill, you can downshift and hold yourself back a little bit. And we do have full manual mode even with the CVT, and you can manually select your own gears. Behind that, we've got our wiper stock, which is great. The rear wiper is controlled from this end. And then of course, one up just does a mist setting. If I want fluid on the front windshield, pull and hold towards myself, and it sprays as long as I continue to hold. 11.6-inch touchscreen, and I'm going to try to get rid of some of that glare there. And they've broken it into 3 portions. Top portion, we've got what we're listening to. We always have our outside temperature. We always have our clock. We've got gauges, widgets, which we can change around. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I always change them to the same ones. We've got weather, part of your satellite radio trial, and we have dual function X mode. So X mode is like 4 low in a pickup. It's designed for speeds under 40 kilometers an hour for rough stuff, steep ascents and descents. We've got snow and dirt. You have to be going under 20 kilometers an hour to engage it. You can see there, very bottom next to the P for park, there's a little rough terrain icon of the Forester. And then that green car heading downhill, that's downhill descent control or hill descent control. Keeps you held back. You just focus on steering, not braking. Then deep snow and mud changes the image. Also deactivates traction control to allow for excess wheel spin to chew you out of that situation. If you've exceeded 40 kilometers an hour, it just kicks out on its own and goes back to regular all-wheel drive. The main portion of the screen, we have physical volume and tuning knobs, which is nice. Radio, media, and phone are fairly self-explanatory. Phone allows you to hook up to Bluetooth. Media is anything that's not built into the car, so USB, auxiliary, Bluetooth, that's all going to be under media, radio, AM, FM, SXM, which you get a 3-month trial to the Sirius XM. Under apps, we have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You gain access to the My Subaru app after the vehicle is registered in your name, which is really nice. Allows you to remote start the car, lock and unlock the car, diagnose, check engine lights, stuff like that. Second portion of the screen, valet mode, auto vehicle hold, which is a brake holder, and you can turn off traction control. You can also add additional shortcuts if there's somewhere in here that you go often. Home button always takes us home. And when I put it in reverse, the backup camera pops up, rear assist braking is active, parking sensors are active. See the top of the bumper there, and those orange lines move, show you where we're going to end up if you keep the wheel turned that way. Now, if your backup camera gets covered in dirt or snow or mud or something like that, we can clean the backup camera from inside the vehicle. It is fantastic. Best thing ever here for our winters. Below that, we've got the home screen. The little open envelope always takes you to this home screen. We can turn off the auto start stop. We've got auto vehicle hold. So that's a brake holder. So you can deactivate auto start stop. When you do that, the little A turns off, and it's not going to shut off at intersections. Or when you come to a stop, I shouldn't just say intersections. Got the ability to go under vehicle here, and it gives us vehicle control. You can change driving assistance, some of the things, the warning volumes, how soon they come on, that sort of thing. And then we can change it to miles per hour, miles per gallon if you ever end up traveling into the States. Bottom portion here, we've got our climate controls. As you can see, it's dual zone. Driver's side is low, passenger side is high. We have physical buttons here, and it goes up and down in 0.5 degree increments. Or we simply click on the temperature, brings us up. I can click, I can drag, I can sync it back to driver controlled, so it's only one. Big fan strength buttons, control my airflow. If I want recirc on, AC on, max AC on, I've got all these choices, easy to use. If I only want the temperature in the front, I can make it just focus the front, or I can have it focus air to the rest of the cabin as well, which is nice. Heated seats, 3 stages for both the driver and the passenger. Easy to use, easy to turn off. Turn AC off or on, easy to use. Below that, we have 2 USB ports along with an auxiliary for any music input. We've got a 10-watt wireless charger, and they've changed the shape of the center console, which I'm a huge fan of. This is also soft touch rubberized, so if you have to rest your leg against it because you've got long legs, it shouldn't hurt. I mean, if you're banging your knee off it all the time, that's different, but like just resting against it, soft touch, really, really nice. They changed it to a more rectangular center console, which I'm a huge fan of. I like the new gear selector, drive selector. I like the ergonomics of it. Feels good. Obviously, you have to get it in your hand to tell yourself. But drive, we've got manual mode. That's where you use the paddles. Behind that, we've got our offset cup holders. So these are kind of medium height. So the Crosstrek has a drink raiser in them. These don't have the drink raisers. I don't think they need them. The Outback ones are super deep, and the Crosstrek ones are a little more shallow. So I feel that this is kind of the happy medium. I mean, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. If they need a drink raiser, or if you've ran into an issue with your new 25 with drink, let me know. Put it in the comments. Park brake, you turn on by pulling up. And if your foot's on the brake and you push down, it goes off. Pull up. And you still get the red P for park there, right in front of your speedometer. And if I don't have my foot on the brake and I push down, it tells me to depress the brake pedal. So push down, depress brake pedal, foot down, push down, off it goes. Behind your cup holders, we've got a 12-volt power point. And then we have a little rubberized storage area ahead of this soft touch armrest, which is quite nice. Really deep amount of storage in there. No power point, but we have a place to run cords. So I think that's kind of an odd choice. They're kind of mimicking the Crosstrek in that regard, but I would have liked to see a power point or additional USBs in there for charging. Up top, my favorite feature ever in any vehicle, auto dimming rearview mirror. No switch to flick if someone's got their brights on behind you, just automatically dims. We've got the HomeLink system. You can hook up to 3 separate garage doors to your mirror. There's an integrated compass, which a lot of people ask for. I can't say that I've ever needed a compass on a drive before, but I can understand why it may be beneficial. It is nice to have. Up top, we've got LED map lights, our sunroof controls. You get SOS and roadside. That's part of your 3-year trial to the My Subaru connected services you get with most new Subarus. We've got the door light switch, our sunglass storage, our taco holders. We've got card holders on both sun visors. vanity mirror with lights, and these are actually larger than the previous ones. I like how low they sit, which is nice as a taller person. And even for some of the shorter people, I think it will be beneficial. I quite like it. And then of course, this slides and you can extend it. You've got a blocker when the sun's directly at your left, or the passenger has it directly at the right. Now, the shade itself for the sunroof is manual. If you open the glass, it'll drag the shade with it. And if it does that, when you close the glass, it'll close the shade. But it is nice with the dark headliner. All of the Foresters have the dark headliner now. I don't feel that it feels claustrophobic. I think it ties in with the rest of the interior very, very well. Now, I'll show you under the hood. I'm actually gonna shut this off. Reminder, look in rear seat. That's because I had the back door and hatch open. But down here by the driver's left foot, knee area, little icon. You just have to reach a little bit further back than you would expect, which is nice, but it is there. There's kind of a cutout for you to put your hand in. And just like every other Subaru that I've ever dealt with, to open the hood, and it is nice that they separated it from the grille versus the previous ones. Hand in, facing down, move from right to left, and it pops open. It's just that right there. You just move that from right to left. And this is the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder boxer engine, 180 horsepower, 0W16 weight oil in these new Foresters. Tolerances are very, very tight, but it looks pretty much like every other Subaru engine bay ever in the 2.5. Everything in yellow, like our dipstick, our coolant, our oil filler cap, our washer fluid, and our brake fluid are easily marked because that's what the average consumer touches. We still offer a top mount oil filter, which is nice. Easy access to the battery. It's not hidden behind a headlight or in a wheel well, anything like that. And if you need to change your air filter, it's easily accessible too. Sits really low down in the body of this engine bay, which is nice. Low center of gravity, and in the event of a frontal collision, it's designed to dive underneath the car. I just like to drop them because it's an aluminum lightweight hood. It feels like I'm gonna dent it if I push down on it. But that is a quick look through the 2025, I'm so used to saying 24, 2025 Subaru Forester Sport in the autumn green metallic, that full redesign year. Stablex dampers, 8.7 inches of minimum ground clearance, and of course, Subaru's full-time legendary symmetrical all-wheel drive, best all-wheel drive system in the world. Now, I would recommend you take one for a spin. Don't just take my word for it. It is a heavily improved, heavily refined vehicle versus the previous gen Foresters. Don't take my word for it. Book a test drive, go down, try one out for yourself at your local Subaru dealer. So thank you for sticking with me through the full walkthrough of the 2025 Subaru Forester Sport. I'm Tyson, the Subaru specialist from Subaru Prince George. If you guys have any questions about this Forester behind me, any of the vehicles in our lineup, any of the tech, anything like that, put them in the comments below. I love to hear from you guys, love answering your questions. And if you're in British Columbia or willing to make the trip to northern British Columbia looking for a Subaru, please reach out to me directly. I would love to help you get your perfect Subaru. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk soon.